Hey, it's KB, and I love movies. On this episode, I have a conversation with Tim from Tim Talks Talkies. Been looking forward to doing this for a while. We talk about movies, of course, and we talk about the other things he's into and a little bit of a flashback to what it was like being a kid and a movie lover. So stick around, and I hope you enjoy. So today I have my friend Tim from Tim Talks Talkies. So glad to finally have him and have this conversation. It's been a long time coming. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Yeah, this is definitely nice to talk face to face after we talk on IG almost daily.
Daily at this point. It's crazy. But
Yeah.
you know what? I like to vibe with like positive people and, as far as like movie people, like people who know their stuff. And that's just a compliment to you.
Thank you.
So I normally like to start off the conversations with something that's not movie based, but this is still going to be movie based in a way. So besides your physical media collection, you have other collections. So you have nice collectibles, you have soundtracks, you have an awesome poster collection. What are
Yeah.
some examples of your favorites in each of those three categories?
So yeah, the poster collection is definitely my number two hobby overall. And
Mhm.
yeah, I have some phenomenal posters. I got an original Season of the Witch from 1982. I believe it's in 1982. I
Mhm.
just got an amazing Hitchcock double feature poster.
I saw
That
that.
that is incredible. I've got a Wait Until Dark original one sheet. I love that one. And then I've got a huge collection of like Mondo screen prints and bottleneck, like prints that are actually like it's like layers of paint over top of each other.
Hmm.
And they're different than the type of stuff you'd get at like a Walmart or something. I
Yeah.
love them. And they're like kind of collectibles. Like a lot of them go up in value like quite a bit.
Yeah,
So
that's one of the thing I like. We have Alamo Draft House nearby, and anytime they show a retro movie, they're usually tied in with Mondo, so you could pick up like glassware or enamel pins. But one of the things that they're really big on is T-shirts
yeah.
and also posters. So um, they had a one night showing for the anniversary of Full Metal Jacket, and they included the price of the t-shirts in the ticket price, so everyone got a Full Metal Jacket t-shirt.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, Fun little fact too, Alamo Draft House actually was the owners of Mondo for most of their life. They
Hmm.
actually just sold Mondo now to Funko literally like a month ago. But
Yeah.
other than that, they were under the Alamo Draft House umbrella for most of their time around. So
Yeah.
yeah, they've done a lot of really cool like one-off screenings where you only get the poster with going to the screening, kind of like that shirt.
Hmm.
And I wish I was able to. I have no Alamo Draft House around here. It's
It's worth taking a trip to. I think my favorite one is the one in Austin, or one of the ones in Austin. I went there for a 24-hour movie marathon once, and um, they have the carpet from The Shining on the wall. Well, it was at the time. And then what you could
cool.
do, they had an adult size big wheel, and you could go and take pictures like Danny riding the big wheel down the hallway.
Ah,
And,
that is so
it's
cool.
just like things like that that are for the movie fan
Yeah,
that you don't get anywhere else. So I love that. What
yeah.
about the other stuff like
Uh,
soundtracks and collectibles?
so soundtracks. So I have a huge, just in general, vinyl collection. Like behind is also a bunch of like rock and stuff, and
Hmm.
then soundtracks. I have like a couple hundred. I I have some rare ones, but I don't know. None of my stuff is too rare. But I collect like lots of John Williams, of course. James Horner. I love his stuff. Nick Cave and Warren Ellis. I love all of their scores. So I pretty much just like find the composers I really like and just try to collect as many of their scores that I can that are on vinyl, which can be pricey sometimes depending on the score. Some of them when they go out of print, they go up quite a bit, but
Yeah.
I
And
don't have as many of those.
a lot of them are limited releases, so they go out of print pretty quickly.
Yeah. especially the Mondo stuff.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was watching J.J. Abrams' Star Trek today, and I was surprised to see that the guy who did the score is also a guy who did the Batman score. I always mispronounce his last name. Is it Michael Giacco?
Giacchino, I think is how
It
you
is
pronounce it.
Giacchino?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
He makes wonderful scores. His score to Up is
Up. Yep.
fantastic.
Yeah. I hit up the discography and checked out some of his other stuff, and it was just like shock after shock after shock. He did both Incredibles. This year alone, he did Batman, Thor: Love and Thunder, and like two
Jurassic
other
World
movies.
Dominion also.
Jurassic World Dominion. Yeah, he's done all the Jurassic World movies.
Which I think he did a fairly good job. It's hard. You can't really beat John Williams.
Hard to follow up.
Yeah, he still takes John Williams' themes and runs with it, but also kind of makes it his own. So I think he did pretty solid with them.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what he did in Star Trek. He still had that original theme in the background, but made it his own. And then the other piece of the score where it was more original music, he has a way of really warming you up and getting you into the moment in movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Any collectibles nearby to show off?
So in this room, it's more so like video game ones. I have a giant Mario to the side that's like 50 pounds. I can't even show, but like there's like Resident Evil statues and stuff. So not as much movie based. This room is all video games and books for the most part, and my records.
Is this the first time we're seeing the new room?
Well, this isn't the new movie room though. This is the home library, like an actual home library. I'm not sure how many books are in here, but it's I think like 700-800 books.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of collections in this house.
That's good though. It's good because like we always talk about with movies, once you have it, it's yours. It's tender, you know?
Yeah.
I forgot about TV sets, you know. I know Buffy being your favorite. What do you think about all things Joss and like what's happened to him in recent years?
Oh gosh. I'll tell you, it's kind of a kick in the stomach. So I looked up to him a lot. Like I thought he was kind of a genius with TV. Like his writing is impeccable. He makes great characters you care about. And I mean, I still could say that, but everything's kind of tainted in the fact that he treated his cast members like absolute trash.
Yeah.
When you read how Charisma Carpenter was treated on set, it's heartbreaking. She was not treated in any way how you should treat any person, never mind just an actor. Like he treated her like garbage. And it's not like she's a one-off. Like tons of people have come forward saying how bad he treated them. And he's basically went into seclusion at this point because it's true. He knows it. He's no one wants to work with him now. So it's a kick. I mean, I loved his stuff. Firefly, Buffy, Dollhouse,
Browncoats.
Yeah.
It like you said, it kind of taints the memory of those shows that we love. I'll keep it in present tense because, you know, it doesn't take any love away from like the shows and the movies and so forth. But, you know, it's just hard to hear anything like that. But, you know, being a music fan, I learned early on, you got to separate the art from the artist in a lot of cases. Yeah. So you can still appreciate the art that they create, because that had some but little to do with the person themselves.
Yeah, I essentially have to do that too with like Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling as a person, I do not like her. So kind of got to separate Harry Potter from her at this point. And I got to feel like Harry Potter has transcended her at this point. It now pretty much belongs to pop culture.
Yeah. It's like that with any kind of art. You know, you as an artist, you create, and then once you release it, it doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to society to appreciate it and critique it and, do think pieces on it. So it's almost like the art isn't theirs anymore. It belongs to us as the appreciators of the art. So
Yeah.
that's how I'm at least mentally able to keep the art from the artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could do it with, I'd say 99% of stuff. There's a band I used to love called Lost Prophets that the lead singer did despicable stuff with essentially like molesting a baby. He went to jail for he's in jail for I think 30 years at minimum right now. He's the lead singer of the band, so I have a hard time listening to the music knowing like the guy I'm listening to is just an awful human. So that's one of those cases I can't separate. But past that, yeah, I can still watch an OJ Simpson movie because there's other people involved in it.
Yeah.
So,
you can watch the Samsonite commercial of him running through the airport.
Yeah.
This is off the top, not a determined question. I was speaking with John from Flat X2 the other day, and he always brings up the point that he has like a blind spot to 80s movies. And I was like, well, based on your age, your time was the 90s. We normally hit like our birth of our movie self around like 12, 13, 14. So based on that, what was your period? And do you have like a franchise that you kind of clung on to? Because like with my generation, it was Star Wars, and that's why I have no problem with today's MCU or DCEU fan, because that fandom is pretty much the same thing. Everyone's had it. The Lothar fans, the Harry Potter fans, whoever it may be.
It's hard to say ones I latch onto because I love Jurassic Park, but I still find myself super critical of these new movies, and I can't blind spot. Like Dominion was terrible, so like I try. I wanted to go in blind spotting because I love the franchise, but that I don't. Maybe Evil Dead hasn't disappointed me yet, so I don't know if there's anything Evil Dead that could possibly disappoint me.
Yeah.
So maybe I have a blind spot to that one.
Could be.
But I know, and as you were saying, John kind of overlooked the 80s. I have massively, I'd say collectively, the 70s. I've watched some of the big stuff, but the 70s as a whole is probably one of my least watched decades outside of the silent era. The silent era, I've seen a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But I've probably seen more like 40s, 50s, 60s than I have 70s. It's this big blank spot for the most part.
Yeah, I would say like the decade that I probably had the biggest blind spot to, like that came before I was even born, was the 60s. And once I hit college and, VHS tapes left and right, that quickly got resolved. Fellow classic movie fan. That's right.
Yes.
So have you ever tried to convince like someone to share that love of the classics,
So my wife actually, so I have a very small group of people I talk to in real life. My two best friends, they're okay with them, but they don't really seek out to watch that stuff. And I don't know what kind of convincing I could do. I got my wife to the point where she'll watch now black and white movies. She doesn't actively, like, if I give her like a big pile of stuff and it includes a black and white or two, they almost never get picked. But she's okay if I pick one and put it on. She's okay with that.
Yeah.
But my love of it actually came from my mom. Turner Classic Movies was like the channel that was always on in my house whenever she had access to the TV. And that stuff was going all the time. But what's crazy is I didn't appreciate it when I was younger.
It's hard to as a kid.
Yeah, it came with age. I started kind of rewatching some of these ones that she had on TV when I was younger. I'm like, this is good. But there's something about just like 10-year-old me with this old black and white movie. I didn't like it at the time. I don't know.
Yeah. It was probably the same way with me. It was like, I had my movies, the heart of the George Lucas and Spielberg era. And, my mom would put on something old and I would like, ugh, there's no color in it. It's like, why does it look like that? It looks like somebody just like rolled out some old celluloid or something like that. But, and also the birth of music videos. So everything was, and to have a long take in a movie was just like messing with my mind because, we're not used to that. And especially today, it's even worse, can't hold for more than 3 seconds without somebody complaining. But like you said, over time, I also think Midnight Monster movies helped with that transition too, because they were, for the most part, in black and white, unless you got to like the Christopher Lee years and all that stuff. But like the Universal monsters, those movies used to come on Saturday night at midnight. And if I was slick enough to stay up that late and, kind of encourage myself to watch it and not scare the living daylights out of myself, that's probably when the transition started.
I think one of my initial problems, which I got over with as I got older, was, younger me would look at something and it was like, that looks really fake. And as you get older, you kind of start to realize like, this is what they had. You got to put in context of that time.
Yeah.
And also a lot of older movies, unless they had a large budget, you had to work around the effects that you could. Like you everything for the most part is dialogue driven back then. You can't have boom, boom, explosion as easily. So it was a lot more dialogue heavy, which took getting older to appreciate.
Yeah. I started to go back to like movies that I watched probably way too young, or movies that I watched at a time when I couldn't appreciate it. So in my college days, I had the pleasure of working at not only a music store, but also a video rental store. Ooh. So just sitting there and just watching something random, it was like Quentin Tarantino's early days, and I realized that maybe my 18, 19-year-old mind couldn't wrap around Out of Africa or Kramer versus Kramer, but to watch it now as an older adult, as a husband, as a father, it takes on more significance than, something that I was watching while I was waiting for the 7-Eleven girl to bring my ham and cheese from across the street. So a lot different now, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, certain themes as you get older, certain themes in movies will hit more now as you understand the world around you. But when you're a kid, it just doesn't hit the same.
Yeah. And then once again, it was that gap, teenage, early 20s. It's the latest and greatest that you're more drawn to, not the earlier movies.
Yeah.
I was watching one of your videos and you were like showing where the old library was in your town.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I just posted something on a group yesterday about libraries. And, I said, I went from a reading is fundamental reader as a kid, where you get the little programs where you get the free books, to realizing that they had like vinyl. And I used to borrow vinyl. Then that became adult reading. And then, borrowing like DVDs.
Yeah.
And, that really helped me discover a lot of movies without actually having to purchase them or find them to purchase, because a lot of them was out of print. And I'm still surprised that they keep a lot of those out of print movies in stock.
Yeah. A lot of people I still don't think realize just what a library has. Like you hear library and you automatically just think books, but so the library I go to is the Scranton Library, the same Scranton from The Office.
Yeah.
It's a city, but it's not really a particularly big city. And the movie selection inside is huge. It's this one room that is, I would guess, 20 to 30,000 movies across. Wow. Yeah, across. I think they got some 4K now, but a decent amount of Blu-ray, tons of DVD, like tons of DVD. because they run off of a lot of donations, plus they have their own budget to buy them, and they'll normally get new release stuff within a couple of weeks. And something like Criterion, they make sure they get every single Criterion. They have them all. Like it's incredible. And my wife and I had this chunk of time. We were flat broke when we first moved into this house. No money, not even internet money. Like we ran internet off our phone and that was it. So we couldn't stream anything. And we had our physical collection, but to supplement that, we went to the library and we used the library like crazy because my physical collection wasn't near the size then that it is now.
Right.
So yeah, the library helped support us for like 6 months of no internet.
Dude, I still do that, man. Because the same thing with Criterions, just to focus on that. It's still mostly DVDs. Every once in a while, you'll see Blu-rays, 4Ks is unheard of, but I'll borrow like a bunch of DVDs and just go through it. And then the ones I like end up being on the next sale added to the collection. But now with this transition that they're making where they're like, okay, we'll release 4Ks and, Blu-ray combos or 4Ks separate of Blu-rays, not everything is getting a DVD copy. So I'm going to see less of those titles at the library unless they start carrying Blu-rays. I'm trying to remember one of the titles that were just announced a few days ago is Blu-ray only. And I'm like, so this is how they start to phase out DVDs now. It's bound to happen. But Blockbuster, that was also the Friday night jam.
So I live in the house that I grew up in. I bought it off my parents.
Nice.
The Blockbuster that we had is, honest to God, I'm never good at like judging blocks, but I'm gonna call it 2 blocks away. Like I'm talking like a 2-minute walk at most.
Wow.
So I also, my school that I went to was right here too. It was all kind of in this one tiny little square. And I would often skip school on Tuesdays and go to Blockbuster and pick up new movies. Or I would just go in late to school if I felt like going to Blockbuster first, wait for them to open, rent what I wanted, then go to school. So I spent a lot of time in Blockbuster, like a ton of time.
We had a bunch of like mom and pop video shops. Like there was one like right in the main street where I lived. And then there was another one that was a little further away. You could either walk or take a bus, like 5 minutes, whatever. And, sometimes we would go in there and it would be like, do you have money? I don't have money. Do you have money? No. And we started that kid thing of like hiding movies because it was always the movie behind the box. So we'd put it somewhere obscure, the new movie that we wanted, until we could go back and, they were going to like I Spit on Your Grave and grabbing like the brand new movie that just came out 3 days ago. And they're like, how is that in stock? It was like, we know. But yeah, for us, Blockbuster was like the weekend thing. But during the week, we went to the mom and pop shop. It was like, buy a slice of pizza, put some extra salt in it because you're going to sweat walking there. Walk to the store and get your video rentals. It was like a routine.
I wish I had I didn't have the mom and pop places around me. So when did Blockbuster really? I feel like my Blockbuster went out of business like 2007. Does that make sense? Somewhere around there. Around
the mid 2000s.
So I graduated in 2005. So my time of going to Blockbuster would have been the mid to late 90s into the early 2000s. By that mid to late 90s, Blockbuster already killed like all tons of the mom and pop places. Like, I mean, as much as I feel bad that Blockbuster is gone, they are also their own reason for their demise. Like, they cannibalized that entire industry and took it down. So it's just, I never got to experience the mom and pop stuff. So they just weren't really there.
Yeah. And it's a shame though, because, oh wow, memory. I just realized when I was dating my wife, we they moved, and I ended up moving after we got engaged, and I worked at another video store. I totally forgot about that one. That's the one where I got arrested. Another day, another story. But it was something, because the thing that, unless you knew someone who worked there, the thing that you missed with those small stores was the familiarity. You know, you knew the staff, they knew you, they knew what kind of movie you liked. So, you know, they kind of knew if you're coming every Tuesday, okay, put aside that for Tim. He's definitely want to see that new movie or what have you. And you don't really have that with the blockbusters. And you kind of knew when they were kind of going out, because that's when you started to see the uptick in commercials for like, rent this and get this free. It was like they were trying to move product a little too hard. You know, the Halloween commercials in August kind of thing. You have a lovely collection. I'll just say that. One of the things that I always look at is boutique labels. Do you remember how you got into boutique labels and which one was first?
I feel like it might have been, no, maybe not Instagram, maybe Blu-ray.com. So I was heavy into Blu-ray.com. I don't know if you've ever visited that forum before.
I lived there.
Oh yeah. All right. So yeah, I got onto that site pretty shortly after Blu-ray started up. Like I spent a long time on there, and it was probably somewhere around there, just seeing people start posting. I think Scream Factory might have been one of my first. I didn't dive into Criterion until only a few years ago, really. Yeah. Probably Scream Factory would probably be it, because the boutique idea really, besides Criterion, there wasn't really a whole lot of that. Like Scream Factory kind of like jump started all of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
with the TV sets and all that stuff.
Yeah, I had a huge TV set collection, but of like the special movies with tons of special features and a lot of care into it. I feel like Scream Factory is probably my start.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I always remember my first Criterion, because that's the easy story. I worked at a place that had like a intranet forum, and you could like buy and sell and trade things. And this woman was selling a couple of DVDs, and she had the Royal Tenenbaums. And I was like, oh yeah, I always wanted to get that movie. It was like $5. And I looked at it and I was like, ooh, what's this Criterion thing? And it kind of went from there, because it was like, oh, look at all these cool special features and stuff. And from there, I think Chasing Amy was next, that I actually purchased like regular price and all that, and kind of went from there. Yeah, I think that was my first one, and then all the Arrow and Shout and all that stuff came afterwards.
Yeah, I spent a long time in my collecting on just the regular studio stuff, because that was cheaper.
Yeah, now, I think we all did.
Yeah, now I look at the boutique stuff and I'm like, if I get a choice, I'll pay the more to get the boutique version. Yeah. But yeah, for a long time collecting, it's like, oh, the studio version, that's all I care about. Just give me the movie.
I'm there right now with I rewatched The Witch the other day, and I'm like, you could get the studio DVD or 4K, or you could get Second Sight at the end of the month. And they already got me with Drive. So incredible I picked up Drive, and I'm like, oh, they do this the right way.
Yep.
So
yeah, they do.
Yeah. But you just think every time you do that, it's like $70, $80. It's like a shot every time.
Yeah. Yeah, boutique collecting is not cheap, that's for sure.
No, it's not for the weak at heart or wallet.
It as any movie that got an Academy Award, what's the best one?
If it's any movie, it's going to be Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is my number one movie. It's got some sound awards and a visual effects award. So it'd definitely be that. If it was Best Picture, I'd go Casablanca. Yeah. I know with the amount of films I buy and the amount of films I have, there's stuff in this collection that never get touched. I'm just honest. I know it. But there's something about having it and knowing eventually, if I want to get to it, it's there. But
the reason that I liked Hellboy 1 and 2, you need that stylistic director,
Yes.
though,
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
a PG.
You do.
So, you've been on a lot of live streams.
A few.
a few live streams, a few videos. Any idea how many feature or guest appearances you've made on other people's sites?
I honestly don't know. I was actually intending on making a playlist on my channel that puts all of my appearances on other channels, so I could keep track. Plus, if anyone wanted to, check that out and go through. But I got to get that together. It's been enough. I've been really loving just talking with different people, going on the channels, and I love talking movies.
Same here. But to me, that's just like a tribute to like not only your movie knowledge, but your personality, that like people like having Tim around,
I appreciate that, because sometimes I don't think that highly of myself. So
we all go through that, man. You're not alone. But the great thing, and we always talk about it, is this community, for the most part, is very welcoming. Sometimes people can be jerks, but that's anywhere and everywhere. But I think the thing that we share is so vital, and that's the love and appreciation of physical media, and also the love and appreciation of movies. Sometimes there's more of appreciation of the collecting aspect than there are of films. And, that's just how people are. Some individuals are like that.
Yeah. Everyone has their little thing that they enjoy. So I'm all cool with it. Tony buys like 5 versions of a movie. I think it's cool. He enjoys it.
Yeah.
Like, all the power to him.
Hey, nobody would have a problem if he was spending his money on something else. It makes the man happy.
Exactly.
And he's a great guy too. So
he's an awesome guy. Yeah. And he watches stuff nightly. So it's not even like he doesn't watch stuff. It's just there's only so much time in a day.
I know. I feel weird if a day or two goes by and I didn't watch anything, because it's kind of like, well, what did I do that day? So I think the last 2 days I didn't watch anything. Like, I finished up a documentary 2 mornings ago, I'll just say, because I don't know what day it is. And and it was like, oh, that's enough. But I'd already counted that as something I was watching the night before. So it was like, I didn't watch anything today.
Yeah, I watched an interesting one. I watched Breakout last night with Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was fun enough time, but there was some weird cinematography decisions made in that movie. Like a lot of just like zooming on the face out of nowhere for no reason type stuff. I was kind of laughing at it, but it was
70s, early 80s.
It was 75.
Yeah. I remember my dad used to like that movie. And the funny thing is, a few years later, he could care less about going to see a movie. I always tell the story, he took me to see Star Wars. It was like one of the re-release that they had in the theater, and he was trying to fall asleep, like straight up fell asleep. All the pew, 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 fell asleep. He tried to do the same thing in Raiders, but my mom wouldn't allow him. So, so this is your second site, third site on YouTube?
Second. So I was going through something more like personal at the first time that I took it down, and I regretted it. But once you click that, delete thing, that's it. Yeah. So I took some time off, kind of mental time off, and then came back with it. And I've just been in a way better headspace since, and just everything is just better. I don't know, just something and more of a mental thing with me with the first time around.
It's good that you were cognizant of that.
Yeah.
One of the things you used to do, and I would love to see it return. Will we get a return of the grayscale reviews?
I want to. I need to. So I don't feel like I convey stuff as well talking in review terms. Like, I have to really prep stuff. You know what I mean? I don't just want to turn on the camera and just start rambling, which I can do. I can ramble, but I want to
We
make
all
it more.
can.
I want to make it more concise. Do you know what I mean? So yes, I do intend to have it come back. I just have to improve my reviewing per se. I need to be able to convey my thoughts on the movie without spending 20 minutes rambling on. So
One thing, this is not even a question. I'll just say this. I am jealous of your proximity to video game movie dome.
the place is amazing, isn't it?
It is dangerous. I would have to become first name friends with Pam if I lived anywhere in the area.
I have to say, I am very privileged in that I live within a 2 hour roundabout of different areas. Like 2 hours, I'm in New York City. I can make it to Philly. There's places around there. In the Allentown general area, that's where Video Game Movie Dome is, right outside of Allentown. And then there's also this other place called Video Bonanza, which runs out of not a flea market, kind of like a flea market, but it's this permanent place. They're open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Amazing stuff. They're filled with boutique stuff and all types. Awesome.
Really?
Oh yeah. I put up a video on like a tour inside. Amazing store. Price is a little on the higher end, but with mom and pop places, I'm willing to spend a little bit more.
Yeah. And then you have a local one close to you as well, right?
Oh God, the game station, I can walk to it. They're fully dependent on trades, obviously, but when they hit, they really hit. I should have posted about it online. They got in a huge trade of horror movies relatively recently. I already had most of the stuff, but I should have went and saw what people wanted, because they had a ton of horror movies for like $2 each.
Yeah, keep me in mind when you go. You have my wish list.
Yeah, I got to make it back and see what they have.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you want to do 5 takes, 5 questions? This is something I'm going to start doing as I have more conversations with people, just some general questions that we ask everyone. So, question 1. Name the film that made you fall in love with the movies, or the one that made you a movie lover.
So this is kind of twofold, because I have kind of 2 answers. One movie that I used to watch a ton. Even I was too young to even understand all the jokes in it, but I loved Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like absolutely, I would watch that movie like crazy. So pretty young me was watching that, and of course a lot of the jokes right over my head. Like a lot of that stuff is aimed more at like teenager, not 7 years old. Yeah, but it was fun. You know, you seeing them dance in the parade, and it there's a lot of fun stuff in it.
Physical comedy.
Oh yeah. The one that really made me fall in love with just like the aspect of filmmaking is Jurassic Park. Just the spectacle of it. I remember I would go around the house imitating. I'm terrible with dinosaur and how to pronounce names. I believe it's called the Dilophosaurus. Where I go, yeah. So I would go around the house like imitating that. That's my gosh, yeah. So Jurassic, though, really like that's where it's like, wow, this movie is it's grand and epic, and I loved it. I just, those are 2 that I would watch a lot. And then I asked my mom what other stuff I watched that maybe I didn't trigger. She said I watched Red Dawn a lot. I don't know. Yeah.
Dude, Johnny.
I don't remember it as well watching it a lot. Like I remember the movie, but if she says I watched it a lot, I guess I watched it a lot. Yeah, she said I watched like that, Roger Rabbit, Back to the Future, a lot of like, typical stuff. But I was like, Red Dawn, really?
all the VHS tapes that were popular at the time, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 2. I'm going to help you with this one because I know part of the answer. Name 5 of your favorite films. So we have Jurassic Park, Die Hard, Ghostbusters. What are the other 2?
Well, what's funny, actually, because it said 5 of your favorites and not 5. Yes. I was like, you know what? Everyone already knows those ones. I wrote down the original Evil Dead, even though Army of Darkness is my personal favorite of that trilogy. there's when you know the backstory of the original Evil Dead and what went into making that movie, it just feels special. The fact that it even exists. Like they went through a lot of turmoil, a lot of trying to raise money just to keep the film going. It was a lot of work. So
all the great films have some kind of conflict in making them, you know? There's always some backstory like that. Personal thing, I have to admit, I don't own any of the Evil Dead movies. I used to have 1 and 2 like VHS days because I would just come home and I had a collection of movies that I would watch every day after school, even before like hitting homework. And there were random titles like Rumble in the Bronx or the 39 episodes of The Honeymooners. But it was also things like Evil Dead 2. I could see the VHS label that had my handwriting in all caps to make it look ominous. You know, it was like Evil Dead 2. So I used to watch those 2 all the time. Army of Darkness is probably the one I watched the least, but of course, because of the comedy, I enjoyed the most.
Yeah, I watched that one first. I watched Army of Darkness first, and then went back and watched the others. I didn't even know that was a trilogy at first. I mean, they don't really make it obvious to you either.
Right.
But yeah. So Evil Dead, like I said, amazing. Dunkirk, I love Dunkirk.
Love that movie. I know that's your favorite Nolan, right?
Yeah, favorite Nolan. And I think because I go into that movie with a little bit different mindset. Most people throw it into the war movie mix, and it is a war movie, but it's also kind of not. It's just about survival. It's about people just trying to make it to the next day. There's no enemy in the movie for the most part.
That's true.
You hardly see anything. It's just about them trying to get home, trying to survive. I like that. It's a different type of war movie.
Yeah.
Next one I put Wait Until Dark with Audrey Hepburn.
Oh, that's right. You're a Hepburn fan too.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Good one.
That is a great movie. Way darker than you think Audrey Hepburn. You think light and fluffy rom-coms, because that's
not all the time.
That's what a lot of her filmography is a lot of rom-coms. She has some other stuff, but Wait Until Dark is dark. Like the tone of it. I mean, it's dealing with drugs and trying to pretty much take the drugs from her or kill her if needed. Alan Arkin as the villain. He's great. So yeah, that's one I recommend that all the time if I can. I put down It's a Wonderful Life. I adore that movie. It's a yearly watch.
Yeah.
I don't think of it as a Christmas movie in the same way everyone else does. I watch it during Christmas also, but I mean, Christmas isn't mentioned in the movie until over an hour in.
Yeah.
It's
Die Hard is more of a Christmas movie than that is.
Essentially, yeah. Like Christmas plays into the plot of Die Hard more than like It's a Wonderful Life. Literally nothing about the movie requires Christmas.
And
so
everything requires Christmas for Nakatomi Plaza to be shut down.
Yeah. So yeah, I never quite think about it as a Christmas classic so much. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
And the other one I put down, I love John Hughes, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Love that one so much.
Yeah.
It's
I'm all John Hughes because that mid to late 80s, that's, Ferris being my favorite, but yeah, all of them.
I loved, especially in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, how with his character work, he can make it where Steve Martin is essentially the hero and John Candy is the villain. John Candy is foiling everything. But there becomes this turning point in the movie where suddenly you're pulling for John Candy and Steve Martin's character is the jerk. So like it's really cool how both characters, you see their flaws and their great aspects, and you end up loving both by the end. It's really a wonderful movie.
Duality of man.
Yes. So yeah, that's my 5 of my favorites.
Of your favorite. I like that. Okay. And this is one that we were going back and forth on earlier. So name a classic movie that everybody loves, but you can't stand.
So I'm gonna go with the '80s one because this a lot of people will be like, "What the heck?" But I don't like Cujo. I love Stephen King. I think Dee Wallace is a great actress. She's been great in lots of stuff. But so with Cujo, we've seen countless real stories of women going through doing remarkable stuff to save their kids. Like it's almost like you get superhuman strength to like save your kids somehow. And there are so many instances in this movie where I was like screaming at the screen, like, do something. And she just sits in this car and just watches her kids start to basically die from heat. And it's like, what are you doing? You watched this cop get killed and sat there in the car for like 20 freaking seconds. You did nothing. Like, I didn't like the plot. I didn't like there's the whole husband cheating subplot, or not the husband, the whole cheating subplot. And the husband is not needed at all. He doesn't actually do anything besides he's the reason that the cops come at the very end. Yeah. But the whole plot of everything leading up to that meant nothing. Like, I didn't like it. But I know a lot of people do.
I know it tried to capture kind of like, if you look at Spielberg movies around that time, everything had something to do with like marital problems or divorce, kind of reflective of probably what he had went through, you know, whether it's E.T., Close Encounters, whichever one. So I think people are trying to capture that in different ways, but I don't know. That's a good choice. Never thought about it from that perspective, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I know though, people, Stephen King fans that watch might be like, what the heck? How do you not like Cujo?
You're allowed because there's a ton of movies out there that people rant and rave and think is like the greatest thing. And I'm like, I gotta disagree with you on that, dog. So yeah, I know what you mean. So let's flip it. Name a critically hated film that you love.
I love Nick Cage's Gone in 60 Seconds. I love that one.
Good remake.
Do you remember the days when before streaming, where you would rent a channel and it would play the movie for 24 straight hours? You'd basically unlock the channel.
Yeah,
I remember doing that, and like, so my parents didn't have the money to let me rent Gone in 60 Seconds at the certain day I wanted to watch it. So I went onto the TV and rented it using their account instead. And, paid significantly more to unlock the channel for 24 hours. And I sat there that day and watched the movie probably 6 straight times.
Nice.
I just kept watching it over and over again. I love it. I think it's a fun flick.
It is. And I mean, if you're a car person, the cars in that, will definitely appeal to you. What was it? Eleanor? What's the name?
Eleanor's the end one. Yeah.
Yeah.
1967 Shelby GT500. Beautiful
piece of machinery, that thing.
Yep.
So that's good. And I don't know if the hate stems from the fact that people don't like messing with the original, or was that the beginning of the let's crap on Nick Cage movies era? I don't know. But that's one that I like myself. So I don't know what their problem.
And I actually will even stand for, I think it's better than the original. The original has a longer car chase, but I don't feel it goes as well done. It was like 20 minutes long, but it's just, I don't know. The movie just didn't work for me that well. I watched it after watching the Nick Cage one to compare, and I'm like, no, I prefer the Nick Cage one.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think some people like the original, because they may have only known the original, and then a remake comes along and it's kind of like, you're trying to make my movie over or whatever. And it's like, yeah. Like Ken liking the Evil Dead remake better than the original. If that was the first thing you saw, hey, that might be the one for you. I disagree heavily, but I saw Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 first. I think they did a fair job, but when it's situations like that, I can't compare. I just have to take it at face value for what it is. And finally, number 5, who would you like to see me have a conversation with on this channel?
I think you'd have a good, fun conversation with Derek, the convicted cinephile.
That's my man. That's my man. He is.
He's a
funny.
good guy.
He is not. You know, there's some people who are naturally funny, like quick-witted and like great with the one-liners.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll watch him and he'll say something that's like a one-liner, and I'll just go like this. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
You can tell. Yeah, that'd be cool. Put in a good word for me, and I'll do the same as far as sending an invite to him, because you're right. And we have very similar interests as far as movies and stuff. He's very interested in Academy Awards stuff. I do that stuff, I guess, every year. You know, I know critics who actually get to the screeners and all that. Remember, I was telling you a while ago when they first announced Ultra, and I was like, I still have a screener. Yeah. So, yeah, it would be good. It would be good to hang out with him and spend some time. So that's a good recommendation.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. I talk to him almost daily also.
Yeah. What questions do you have for me, or just in this conversation, if any?
So I'm never good at thinking of questions off the bat, but like,
especially when I didn't prepare you for it.
So what do you plan for your channel? Like, is there any, so I know I have a lot of video ideas that just are in my head and I haven't gotten them down to screen yet, because it's like a lot more work and I just haven't gotten to it. Do you have any like videos that they're in your mind and you just haven't been able to put them out there yet?
Yeah. I actually do written reviews, and I have a podcast that, you know, I'll have to dust off the dust from it and get it going again. Probably on Thursday night will be the next time we record an episode. So I do it with my friend. Her name is Kate, and we're going to see Nope, and then
I can't wait for that.
We're either going to do just audio, or I might do audio and video. So I'd like to start at least incorporating like clips from when we record our podcast and include them. So not the whole thing, because we still want to get traffic going to the podcast. But, you know, you have those moments, especially the two of us, because it's kind of like the demented part of us are very similar. So we just have those moments, and it's enough to be like, well, that's a moment for a video right there. Or she might say something totally profound or totally off the wall, and that could be a clip right there. So we'll record probably after we see Nope. I'll put up my instant reaction, my screen react, and then we'll record later on. So that's one thing I want to do. We spoke about the other thing I'd like to do, but that's another channel for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just incorporating more movie reviews, not necessarily brand new things that are out on home media. You know, people do that and we end up saying pretty much the same thing. But, you know, like I say, I try to watch like a movie a day, and sometimes something just really, really captures me, and it's worth doing a review, especially if it's something that recently came out on 4K or whatever the case may be. So people go in and it's like, here's the audio, here's the video specs, here's how inky the blacks were. That's cool. But to me, first and foremost, there's a film there. So I want to talk more about the film without giving stuff away, because I hate spoilers. But you know.
I can't agree more on that. That's one of the reasons also I haven't dived into like specific reviews as much, because I don't feel like I am a good judge on audio and video to the same extent as other people. You know what I mean? I know what looks good to me, but there's cases where I could be like, well, this looked good to me for this reason, and someone would be like, that's a terrible transfer. Like, I'm sorry.
I like this.
Yeah.
But like I was saying before, that's all that counts is your opinion. You're not looking at it on a 13-inch Westinghouse. You have a pretty nice display. So what you see is what you see. That's individual to yourself. It's like when the Untouchables first came out on 4K, and I just threw it in, I guess, that weekend. And I watched it, and I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the way it looked at all. But then I realized, hey, somebody's messing with TV, and I made a few adjustments, and then all of a sudden I was concurring with everyone who said the transfer looked great. So it's really about what you see or what you hear, if that's the case. But just trying to bring my opinion about the film more than anything to...
The film is the top thing that matters.
Yeah, to me.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear you sharing that sentiment, because I loved all the formats. I've gone from VHS to DVD, Blu-ray to 4K. And I love to see like an old movie come out in the greatest format available. Like, I'm really looking forward to Fright Night, because that's one of those VHS tapes that had the all caps, ominous handwriting. Another one I used to watch every day after school. So to see that, and there's that little piece of nostalgia that just grabs you. But then also, hey, this looks pretty good, and you want to talk about it, as well as the movie itself. And I don't think we have enough of that out there on YouTube these days.
Yeah, I sure as heck know. I would rather watch Jurassic Park on VHS than watch something like that new Gamer 4K.
Mm-hmm.
That's a terrible movie. That's an awful movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it's funny. I was talking about Jurassic Park. I was going back and forth. Should I get the 5-movie set, or should I just get the ones that I really watch all the time, which is just Jurassic Park? And for Father's Day, my son said, here, I bought this so you could stop arguing with yourself. And it was just the 4K of Jurassic Park, because I really don't care about the other ones. And then the removal of practical effects and going into CGI means that the Blu-rays are okay. You don't necessarily need the 4Ks of them. And things like that, like we were saying before with Marvel, if you get a Marvel 4K and you watch it on a really good display, it's going to look like crap. The Hulk is going to look plastic. But if you have the Blu-ray, okay, it may not be the best format, but it looks a lot better than the 4K would. And little things like that people don't always think about. So just to bring more of that stuff to the channel, I think I wanted to get started in the first couple of months initially with this, and then kind of go from there. So now that I'm getting established and I'm feeling comfortable in front of the camera and everything, which is weird to say because I've never been uncomfortable in front of a group, but put this thing in my face and this ring light, and all of a sudden it's like, oh. So
yeah, it's it took me quite a while, honestly, but I'm enjoying it a ton. And I have this whole like note thing in my phone of all these video ideas that just haven't made it out into the world yet. Because sometimes I want to do a little bit more in my mind than just record real quickly and that's it. Like I have more ideas, and I just haven't translated that yet. Like I really want to do a video on those screen print posters and just kind of more about them, and the fact that a lot of people don't realize, like some of these steelbooks that people absolutely love, those same artists that do those steelbooks also make great Mondo posters and stuff too. And just kind of just what is a Mondo poster, what's a screen print, stuff like that, kind of like an educational type thing.
You start to get to know the artist as well, I can imagine. So I could see you doing like a little thing of like, this is some of the artwork of so-and-so.
Yeah.
And going from there, even if it's not something you have in your possession, just to show examples of it, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And then because they know how passionate I am, my family usually will recommend something, or my son would be like, you should do this, or look at the IMDb top 100. Why isn't this movie here? So for anyone who's actually still watching this, here's a future idea. We're thinking about doing kind of like a death match between movies that are in the top, whatever, 32 of IMDb, and then versus movies that are not even in the top 100. And just weekly, just having kind of like a battle between them and just discussing the movies and discussing, like, having polls on the community page or on Instagram just to see like which movies people prefer, because there's things that, like, I think someone said My Cousin Vinny isn't in the top 1001 movies you got to see before you die.
Yeah, I voted for that in the movie collection battle because I was like, oh my God, My Cousin Vinny. Like,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah. So things like that. And, you know, we always have passing thoughts, and some get written down, some forget to be written down. So I just want to bring more of that to the channel as I expand and continue to grow.
So I did that stream that on Saturday, and I had a whole bunch of clips and stuff, and that became like unmonetizable anyways.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do more stuff that I don't care if advertisers don't like it, because I'm not trying to appease to you people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it was the Freddy clip, man, that brought you down.
But I mean, it went pretty well besides that
It did.
2 minutes of going down.
It was fun. And it's like the same thing that Huck does with his trivia night. You know, I think if you keep the clips like short or obscure enough, then, you know, they don't care. But, you know, throw up Nightmare on Elm Street and everybody just loses their mind.
Yeah. That was pretty funny though, because now that whole thing is back in the video. So you see us just chatting about, oh no, the stream was taken down. What do you guys want to do now?
That was great. That was great. I started talking to Ken at that time. I was like, Tim got the smackdown. So it was great. It kind of added to the experience. It really did. And talking about experiences, I want to thank you for your time. I say this could just be an IG live conversation, and we could just throw it up there, because that's how we vibe, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your knowledge and, you know, just your personality, like I was saying before, because it makes people want to have you on their live streams or have you on their videos, because hey, it's another movie lover, for real, a real movie lover. And I appreciate that about you.
Thank you. This was a ton of fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you had fun. Me too. So for now, we're going to sign off. But until next time, go watch a movie.
Yeah.